Hey everybody, it's Katherine. Welcome to Insider Movies 14. We are going to do 2 fun movies this week, and I hope you really enjoy them. I think they are amazing, and I just saw one of them just recently, and it's still in my head. I think you will love them and have a wonderful, wonderful weekend with them, and you definitely need to know them. So the first one is My Best Friend's Wedding. It has Julia Roberts in it. It is a super famous movie. It is the one that introduced Cameron Diaz to the world. It made her a superstar. Some people would say something about Mary rocketed her into A-lister, but it was My Best Friend's Wedding that actually put her on the map. That is the one that did it. Everybody was like, who is that girl? And it was Cameron Diaz. She was first put on the stage with The Mask, but really she was a standout star when she did My Best Friend's Wedding. And Julia Roberts is amazing in it, and McDermott is also in that. That was kind of a big role for him, and it was just a cultural phenomenon. You'll see it in the restaurant scene. They break out into song, and they hadn't done that in a movie before. I mean, now we have an entire Late Show based on that. But until that movie, we didn't have anything like that, like breaking out into song. You saw the breaking out into song in Beetlejuice, but that's not the same as this. That is not the same as this at all. You'll see the difference. It's very, very different. Beetlejuice was unique, and that's why I loved it, but it's a haunting. Like, that was a haunting, and it was rare and different, and it was short. This is different. This is people breaking out. You'll see it. It's a very different sort of thing, a sing-along, and it caught on, and people started doing memes of it and everything like that, and it sort of started bringing that genre to the forefront. And as I watched it again, I was like, this really led to the new Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon. That really started that era, and it started with My Best Friend's Wedding. It really began it, because everybody was like, you'll see claw hands in the air, the waving of the claw hands. They really took a risk with that, because there was nothing out there like it. I mean, absolutely nothing. It was the birth of that movement. It was the birth of all of that type of comedy. It was the birth right there in My Best Friend's Wedding. So, pretty super famous movie, and surprising and everything, and wonderful. So that's the first one. And then the second one is Phantom of the Opera. Now, Phantom of the Opera, for people who don't know, is a musical by Andrew Lloyd Webber. Andrew Lloyd Webber is someone you need to know, whether you are into Broadway or not. He made musicals for Broadway. He kind of brought the opera to the English language. So there's operas written in other languages, but he brought something to our current day and age. Until then, we had musicals that were more so like people who lined up and did chorus lines and like kicked their heels and did these great huge musical numbers, kind of like a White Christmas. But Andrew Lloyd Webber really changed it. He did not Jesus Christ Superstar. Maybe he did that, I don't know. But Joseph and the Technicolor Dreamcoat, and but he is British, by the way. But he did Cats, and it was the longest running. I mean, Cats is legendary. I mean, it blows Chicago out of the water. Legendary. Nothing had done anything like Cats did on Broadway. Absolutely legendary, and no one's adapted it for a reason. It should not be adapted to a movie. You have to see it in person. Absolutely sold more tapes and everything. Brought people to the theater who were never into the theater before. And then his next big musical, that was his first big musical, went on and on and on. And then he did Phantom of the Opera. And that, like, I remember we went for school, like, our schools took us, like, they actually took us and drove us out there and things like that, when we were really, really young. Like, it brought so many people to the theater who would never have been to the theater before, and it is a phenomenal thing. Now, what they did is they adapted it when Chicago did really well. Then someone thought, well, why don't we adapt, Phantom of the Opera? And that's a hard thing to do, because it's made to be done in a huge amphitheater. Like, it's made to be in this cathedral-like setting. And so what they did is they solved that problem. Andrew Lloyd Webber, they signed Andrew Lloyd Webber on to help them, and he did a brilliant thing. He filled it out. He filled out the script more, and gave a lot more background, and let you see the background of the stage, which he basically filled in everything you couldn't get from the musical. So everyone who had seen the musical had it memorized, like I had it memorized, But what he did was he didn't put the exact lines from the musical in. He had some of them so you could remember them, but then he would fill in all the lines like in between and kind of fill out a story so that everyone who is fans of it were like, oh, there's more stuff. It's kind of like seeing the inside story on the Phantom of the Opera. But then he also like really filled out like all the things that you can't really figure out. Part of the thing that's wonderful about the actual being in the theater is that there's all this mystery. You don't have that in a movie, and so he filled it out with story instead, and you really see the triangle and things like that, and it's much more of a love story in Phantom of the Opera, the one that they do for the movie, and it really, really works. It really works, and so everyone I know that loved Phantom of the Opera was in love with this movie. They big fans of it were big fans of it, but what was interesting is after we watched it again, because both of these movies we've watched in the last 3 weeks, and I was like, these are perfect to see, to just lighten up the mood, because I needed something to just get my mind off of some of the stuff that was going on. And also my health was really bad. Actually, both of them related to health. Some bad days. And so, yeah, and the Phantom of the Opera, after we watched it, we actually saw I played them some of the recordings, because I had seen it with I also saw it with a different guy playing it, and I kind of like that, but I know that's like a terrible thing to say because of the guy who actually did it. He's legendary, on and on. Anyway, also you should know, but the woman who sings a high voice, she sings this super, super high voice. When it was actually playing in the real theaters, they only had a very few women in the entire world who could actually sing those notes. So the girl who's on stage, it introduced the girl that did Ex Machina. If you love Ex Machina, this is the movie that found her and introduced her to the world. And she, of course, doesn't do the notes. They now have those things by computer. They can alter the voice and make her do it. So, I mean, it's not her voice, obviously, so they just filled it in. But anyway, but afterwards I played them the original broadcast, and it was amazing because we were watching like YouTube on the TV, and I started playing it, and we were all just caught, and we ended up like listening to the whole soundtrack. Like we couldn't get off the soundtrack, and just Masquerade, boom, boom, paper, it captivates you. It captivates you even when you listen to it. Even after we'd seen the movie, then we played the soundtrack, and it just, the music, because they changed the music for the movie just a little bit. Anyway, you need to know it. You've got to know Phantom of the Opera. Like, you should hear the things that my friend was saying. Phantom of the Opera. I'm probably giving away to Hollywood people who it is just by saying that. I love you guys. Enjoy Insider Movies 14. Have a great weekend. And I'm sorry if Phantom of the Opera is now going to be in your head. Like, I'm sorry if it's going to be in your head and you can't get it out. But it's freaking good music to have in your head. God, it's musical. Ugh. What can I say? Music is amazing. But it's a big part of Hollywood. Gotta know it. Love you guys.